We are live.
All right. As usual, we're going to start this out with viewer mail.
Okay, great.
So this comes from a viewer who writes, "Dear Craig and Shane, great show. In the history of human innovation, man has produced works of great intellectual merit, be it Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations or the Principia Mathematica by Newton. But I don't think anything rivals the level that you guys are currently on. Running with the Devil was maybe the greatest thing I have ever heard in my life. That was really, really out of this world." And that's from Neil deGrasse Tyson. Do you think we get up on the show?
I'm sure hoping so.
Sounds like a
He was
fan.
at the embassy a few years ago. I mean, he'd probably be willing to swing by.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna reach out. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you very
that
much,
was great.
Neil.
I think you've done some good stuff too.
Yeah, great
and
job.
hopefully you feel the same way about this one.
Absolutely.
Now on with the show.
On with the show.
Arcade.
And we did Rogan. He could do us. He could do our show.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Arcade Comics Podcast. I am Craig Ray,
And I am Shane Pace.
and this episode is called Ultimate Warriors.
Oh yeah. Ultimate being the
The universe.
optimal word there.
Yeah. So, but first, actually, we're going to talk about what we've been reading this week.
Yeah.
And you want to start it off with books that we've shared and then go off there?
Yeah.
or you
What
wanna start
have
with
we?
Well, we both read next week's Batman.
Yes, which finishes the Joker Year One arc.
Absolutely.
Finished very strong. We said that we were a little tepid at beginning.
The first one felt like it was like a Joker origin story, and you're like, doesn't need one, but it wasn't that at all.
It finished very strongly. Chip Zdarsky knows from which he speaks.
Yep. And the Sorrentino, like the switching of the art,
yeah.
those pages were the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, Andre Sorrentino, who's doing great work right now in Bone Orchard Tenement, and he's known for his collaborations with Lemire, but he does the future Batman and Joker things. And they're some of the scariest Jokers I've seen. And Zdarsky said that this is a bit of a companion to what Tom King and Mitch Gerads are doing right now in The Brave and the Bold, which is very cool.
That is very cool. I can see it totally.
Yeah,
I mean, it
and
lines up.
that it really gets that love-hate relationship, or love-love relationship, or hate-hate relationship, however you want to look at it. But I thought it was great.
It was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
And then, so is it 2 weeks then, or are we a full month out from the continuation? I forget as far as
I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks because he's got them all written.
Yeah.
And the artist Jorge has had time to he had a month to get caught up. So
Sure.
I think it's only gonna be a few weeks.
Cool. Awesome.
So nobody has to wait too long for the next Batman.
Since we did that one, you want to go ahead and just rattle through the DCs?
Because then this week Christian Ward's City of Madness wraps up. The very, very strange, if you ever wanted a Lovecraftian Batman, which I apparently did, this is it. And it was really, really bizarre and really, really fun and really I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's like I've never seen Cthulhu or Cthulhu-inspired things in a Batman book, and this was it.
And Sienkiewicz had all the B covers, which was
And
awesome.
it fits perfectly.
Yep.
And also that's Batman and Robin #6 came out with Joshua Williamson continuing his he's doing. I mean, it's a book that I didn't really think needed to exist, and now I'm glad it's here. And
It's awesome.
Every week you get to see Bruce and Damian spending some quality time together, whether they be busting heads or just trying to get through high school. You guys know how it is. But the one, Wesley Dad's Sandman #5 came out. That continues to be, I think, the best of those three. Although I think Jay Garrick's The Flash is very strong.
The polls reflect that as well.
Good. Robert Venditti doing Wesley Dodds Sandman. It's just what a joy. But my book of the week is Green Lantern #8, and that's because the story is very good. He's the stuff he's doing with the where the Guardians are at and who's taking over and Hal's like fighting back against that. But the backup this week was by Kyle Rayner creator Ron Mars and Dale Eaglesham. It's a 5 or 6 page backup, and it is so bittersweet. It makes you feel for Kyle. It celebrates his history, and it also moves the story forward in a big way. Like it opens up a whole other avenue of where this thing could go. That ties in with the stuff that's going on with Hal and the stuff that's going on in Philip Kennedy Johnson's John Stewart book.
That's great.
Yeah, aren't the polls on that pretty good?
Oh yeah, and it started. They are very good. I'd say we've probably doubled since the beginning, though. So it's increasing. I feel like Don't get me wrong, I loved it and I loved the event, but things kind of took off even more after Night Terrors because it was kind of a weird release where there was that book in particular. I think it was only one issue before number 2 kicked right into Night Terrors, so it was kind of derailed a little bit.
It came really quick after the dawn of DC. I thought for a lot of these books to get a chance to take off, and it being out of. I mean, it wasn't. It was in continuity, but it didn't really mess with any character's continuity.
Right.
So yeah, it was just it was a fun event, but yeah, that was strange. That it kind of interrupted that.
Because War Journal, I feel, has been able to just be War Journal, and it's been more consistent as far as polls and things like that.
And a great book. Oh, speaking of Philip Kennedy Johnson, so he left Action Comics and now it's
Jason Aaron,
Superstar, and it's a Bizarro Superman story. And Bizarro is not my favorite. It gets a little taxing to read the backward speak, but you got to see kind of what he's going to do in this latest issue.
And it was great.
It was great. It's just a great idea. Did you end up reading it?
I'm saying it was great based upon your synopsis.
Yes. Because he flips the script, and there's a surprise ending, and I can't wait to see where he goes now. So
Absolutely.
turns out this Jason Aaron guy,
He's going places.
He's going places.
That's great.
But that wraps up DC for my polls. Other people may be reading more. I'm not reading Justice Buster or Blue Beetle or that kind of stuff.
No.
I would like to know if Outsiders is any good.
I'm curious as well. I haven't actually had a chance to get to that, but I mean, it's on my list. It's just there's a backlog. So this week I did a lot of homework this week. So as far as my current week polls, I kind of was a little adventurous this week on purpose. So I have more Marvel books and more independent books to discuss than I do DC, which is never happens. So are we ready? You want to move on to Marvel? Did you do anything Marvel?
I didn't do any Marvel this week.
You did. We've got one big one, but I guess we'll save Marvel. To the end.
Let's save that.
So
Because that'll be our.
We'll do independent then.
Okay. Well, I did issue 4 of The Deviant by James Tynion.
Cool.
It's a creepy book about a deviant. But again, I don't know who the deviant actually is. I think there's a huge twist at the end of this one, huge, that changes the whole story. So I'm excited. And speaking of that, I did read the first few Draculas last night of his the shared universe because we got to speak with the
retailer kind of summit thing with Skybound, who has. Which I didn't know. I mean, they have plans for expanding the universe. The ones that we've seen solicited already are right. I mean, it's obvious. And then Skybound's been killing it, obviously, with Energon. So they've got that whole thing worked out.
Comics, folks.
So we've seen Dracula. We've seen solicitations for Creatures from the Black Lagoon, and we can't disclose anything else moving forward. But as far as talent, I'm very excited.
They went. Is the writer of Creature known?
It's Ram.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ram V and he was on the call, and it was a thrill to just see this guy, that one of the best up and comers, or I mean established writers at this point. One of my favorites, doing Creature from the Black Lagoon. I can't imagine. That is such a great marriage.
Who are we going to get to write this?
Creator,
the guy that killed it on Swamp Thing.
Killed it on Swamp Thing. Yeah. Knows about a thing or two about outsiders or about like monsters that maybe aren't monsters, or how do you perceive them? It's like if Guillermo del Toro was doing it. I'm very excited for that. But no, I read the first few Draculas, and they are great. Yes. I don't know why I was dragging my feet. I'm all in on James Tynion.
Yeah, and he was on the call as well, and he's not done yet. We can't reveal whatever else is going on in the future, but
he has such a friendly face.
Yes,
by the way, he has resting. He has like a resting smile,
Smirk,
like a
smile.
resting, but it's like a genuine smile. Like, man, I like you. Whereas Ram V, it's like, I what are you thinking, man? What's going on in that head?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that's it. I mean, I do want to put in a big. Speaking of James Tynion, I almost forgot Blue Book, 1947.
There you go.
I didn't know this was coming back. I knew because of the nature of the Blue Book. The first one was like, you could keep going and like do different types of close encounters. And so this is another one. It's a real case, and he's retelling it. Retelling this old case, and it's very much in the vein of the first one, but from a more less. They were like pedestrians. They were just a regular couple.
Sure.
And this one, it's an Air Force pilot, and what he reported, and then that kind of got spread the word in a little bit more official fashion, and it shows, and it also tells us where the term flying saucer comes from.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it was in this story. So I can't wait. I'm back on the Blue Book, and James Tynion, you're the Oh, you're the writer of the week because next week has already been claimed, but we'll get to that.
Right on.
But that's everything for mine.
Okay.
It was a slow week.
I did. let me. What order do I want to do this in? I'm going to do this. Let's stick with Boom. A book came out this week by Ed Brisson called The Displaced, and I will say that it is absolutely positively fantastic. In the vein of, I would say this is Tynion level first issue. Like, what the hell? Absolutely wonderful.
What publisher was that? Image?
It's Boom.
Boom. All right.
Yeah, so it's called The Displaced. There's already been a buzz about it because it is very, very good. So basically, the first thing, it opens up with this crazy guy busting into an impound and he steals a school bus for reasons. And then it just goes through these different kind of stories where it shows like these people in a bar talking about, about their high school days, and then it shows this young couple that have a young child and, changing diapers, this and that and the other thing. But some weird craziness ensues, and, well, I don't know how much to give up. So they're going about their business. It's late at night. Then there's like this weird shaking and rumbling that occurs, and the town they were in just disappears. I don't want to spoil anything anymore beyond that, but it is a fantastic read. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, it's been a good long while where I've had something just kick out of the gate like this right off the bat. So it's The Displaced by Ed Brisson. We've got some more copies here in store. It is fantastic. I highly suggest you read it.
And Brisson has some. He's got some
credit
pedigree.
already.
Yeah, his Batman work has been fantastic. I'm trying to think, there's a critter on that he wrote that I read recently. I'm trying to think of what it was. I think it was Moonshiners.
I can look real
I
quick.
could be wrong.
Let me see.
But that might. Oh wait, that was Eduardo Rizzo.
Well, I don't want to stall things out on this. We can look it up in a little bit. But yeah, I would definitely suggest picking up The Displaced. The next one I read.
Nope, it was Moonshine.
It was?
Got it. Nailed it.
Good deal.
Great book, guys. Everybody picked that one up too. But yeah, no, I wrote it down. The Displacement. I read it.
The next one I wrote, I didn't even know this was coming out. I found it. It came out this week. It is called If You Find This, I'm Already Dead. It is a Matt Kent book for Dark Horse.
What?
Yep.
I missed a Matt Kent book?
I felt the same way.
Jeez.
So it takes place in the future, and like the human race have discovered, through quantum magic, there's this quantum realm, and it starts off. So I'm just going to be upfront with it. It feels very, very much like The Expanse and Alien together.
Man, I'm downloading it as we speak.
But it is like
Matt Kent is a must-read for me for anything he's ever written and anything he's coming out with.
So it's this spaceship that's going through like this quantum portal that they've created to this other separate realm, more or less. And it's usually been all military. And the main character, she is part of the press. Mm-hmm. And she's basically the first like news story that's going to be showing what's going on here. And they land, and shit hits the fan immediately. And she's basically all alone. And it just kind of like, you get there, it is super quick pacing, and then it just says basically to be continued. And the whole thing with the book, the name is If You Find This, I'm Already Dead. The story is based upon like, this is her chronicling the story.
Have you ever read a book by him called Department H?
I've heard of it. I have not read it.
That sounds like very much a companion piece to that, where there's a station deep underwater, and this woman's father was murdered, so she goes down there to solve the murder, and it's because of the nature of it, like no one's come or left, and since it happened, so it's like it has to be one of these 5 people, and she has to solve the murder of it, and no one's probably making it out of here alive, and also it's clever because it's Department H, depth. Mm-hmm. Matt Kent is all kinds of clever.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. But oh my gosh, who publishes that one?
That is Dark Horse.
Man,
yep.
That is great.
If You Find This, I'm Already Dead. I loved it all the way through. The art is awesome. Like, it's a great companion
I
piece.
take it he does not do the art then?
No, he doesn't do the art on it.
Okay. I just like Lemire, I love his art, but it's not for everybody.
Well, I think I've seen his art, and I don't think it would place well here.
Okay.
There's a lot of like,
Glad that he.
as far as if I could place somebody perfect for this, as far as the visuals, I would have chose Johnson, like Daniel Warren.
okay,
Like,
okay.
it's got that
Wow.
cool like gritty.
I
whiny
can't, I
feel.
can't wait to read this now. I'm excited.
Great. It's a great.
You were right. You said you had some books that you thought I was going to go down and read, and you did.
did.
I did not believe you. I was just being nice.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
Okay. This is so us. Oh.
The third one, which I put on equal footing with the two I've previous mentioned, even I very, very much lucked out this week. It's a book that came out called The Infernals by Ryan Parrott.
I saw you reading that.
The art is done by two different people. It is Gardner and Pearson. So the premise is it starts off on Earth in a place called Bethlehem, the Antichrist is born, and the Antichrist grows up and he basically runs like the largest criminal organization in the world, but he's dying of cancer and he's choosing his successor with his three children. This whole book is basically, I don't want to say nothing happens, but it's the entire setup as far as like he is.
Sounds like Succession. The show.
It is amazing. So the art is equal parts Martin Simmons from Department of Truth,
Oh yeah.
very much that style, but then switches during key pieces. It's very much it switches with the storytelling as far as what's going on. I am completely floored and completely intrigued. It's a dark, gritty book. There's all kinds of weird stuff that happens. But yeah, it's basically like the Antichrist dying of cancer at the age of 70, whatever, choosing a successor of his three children, and some weird stuff in there. Like there's like a righteous gemstones type thing where like one of his kids is like talking about creating like a bigger social media presence with like one of the super church like assholes.
Sure.
And there's a very striking panel there where he gets out of this hot tub and on his entire back, it's like Jesus with his thumbs up with like a Confederate flag behind it type thing. Like it's just like it's saying something. It is very cool though.
What is that? What's it? You'd figure that the son of the Antichrist would have a longer shelf life than mid-70s.
Well, and that's part of it. I mean, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to ruin everything, but like I've got it right here. I want you to look at this art.
I wonder if he got. I wonder if he was smited by. Lord. Oh, that's great.
It is fantastic.
I've got one similar, but not exactly right. Oh, this art is great.
Yes, it's like very much.
Oh yeah. All right.
Martin Simmons
I
stuff.
don't know.
But I was intrigued. We picked a few copies of this up. I do not regret it. It is a wonderful book. And Ryan Parrott, obviously, if you're familiar with the Massiveverse, he's been doing Rogue Sun, and then also along with Kyle Higgins of Power Rangers fame.
So in a few weeks, guys, if you hear me talking about these books like I'm the one that found them, you call me out on it
Nah,
because I'm reading all of them. These sound great.
they're great.
Well, that is awesome. But I mean, does that take us to dessert?
That takes us to Marvel. Let's not get to dessert yet.
Okay.
I read some Marvel.
I mean, that's a whole main course and dessert.
I'll kick it off then. Is that the only Marvel book you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I read Night Thrasher because I was excited that it came back.
Yeah. That from the '90s New Warriors gang. That's right. And from the cover, they do not change his outfit.
No,
Good, because they didn't need to. That thing came fully formed.
you're gonna be sad.
Oh.
It changes next issue. So, so for those of you that aren't familiar, yes, from the '90s, Dwayne Turner. I'm sorry, it was written by Jay Holtham. I don't know what the J stands for. I didn't look up into it that much, but it follows Dwayne Turner, who is the Night Thrasher. For those of you who might know him, he was there's the Teen Group, the New Warriors from the '90s.
Great comics.
Night Thrasher himself, I don't believe we've seen him since 2015, the Contest of Champions,
Oh, I haven't.
because he was supposedly dead. So this kind of picks up where there's a funeral, he comes back into town, and people are like, I thought you were dead.
So he got better.
So he got better.
Good.
Night Thrasher, for those of you that don't know, kind of has like a whole Batman / Green Arrow type of thing. Both of his parents were murdered. He's super rich. Instead of the Wayne Foundation, it's the Taylor Foundation with his folks and things like that. If it sounds like it's derivative, it's because it is.
It was the '90s, man.
Right.
Yeah.
But his costume was fantastic. He's a great guy. You root for him.
He's a great hand-to-hand combat tactician. A lot of the New Warriors. He was great on that because that was such a strange team with Nova and Namorita and Speedball, my beloved Speedball. Yep. And sometimes they're like, "Why are we following orders from this guy that has no powers?" It's like, hey, he knows what he's doing. That was Tom DeFalco created him. That's what I had to check.
Yeah,
I should have known that. Well, it was him or Fabian Nicieza if you were writing at that time for Marvel.
Yeah, and so as far as first issues go, I'm gonna give it some time.
Okay.
It was all right. Part of the fun that I had with Night Thrasher the first time was the group dynamic, right? So I mean, there's that part where and you don't realize it until it's gone. This was kind of like it was obviously, you need to start somewhere, and they just pulled him back from the dead. So I'm fine with how it started. He goes back into town, and basically the big event that happens is he shuts down the Taylor Foundation. I was like, whoa, what? He seems like he got a chip on his shoulder. I think we're going to find out what's going on, but he happens to be out in a public place, and he witnesses like a giant like gang organization doing like a smash and grab. He decides to put on the costume and trail it back to, the source, and he finds it to be somebody who he knew in his previous life, and that's kind of where it stops. So it's a to be continued type of thing, but it's kind of fun.
Just when he thought he was out.
Night Thrasher, this issue is called Remix, Part 1, Don't Call It a Comeback, which
nice.
I thought that was fun.
Nice. Can't wait till he gets to doing some night thrashing.
There we go. Some night thrashing. But you know what? I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm not enthused. I was excited. I mean, I was excited enough to read it in a sea of books. Like Night Thrasher was one of my favorites. I was drawn to him, and I definitely think it's worth a shout out there. If you guys have any of that 90s nostalgia at all, it's definitely a good book that'll do the trick. So I think if you haven't read any Marvel, we can talk about the book that we read that came out next week.
All right. Oh.
It kind of it goes along with the theme of our episode already, if you haven't already guessed what it is.
Yes. All right, baby birds, we're about to feed you some worm awesomeness because we read Ultimate Spider-Man #2,
which I feel like everybody,
the man, the myth, the legend, Jonathan Hickman.
Everybody has been waiting,
folks,
for a month to get the second issue under their belt, and it does not disappoint.
It might be better.
It might be better.
It might be better. Jonathan Hickman is so good. Jonathan Hickman makes 6% of the shots that he doesn't take. He defies all. Jonathan Hickman is amazing. And this book, the way the first book balances, like your favorite things about Spider-Man, he incorporates them while telling this a completely new, delightful story. Does the exact same thing here with whiz bang of a finish that just I had to stand up and pace around with a big stupid grin on my face. It made me so happy. It was such a good book. It was so compelling. And again, like the story that he's crafting, boy, like I think I know a few things, but just being in Hickman's hands, he knows more than you.
It has been beautiful.
He's crafting something, and as we're going to talk later, I mean, this guy sees far into the future. This guy can see forever. So whatever he's planning has already been like. This is just one small piece of the thing he's crafting at Marvel, and I think Gods is part of it. I think it's all going to tie back in because like Ultimate Invasion, Ultimate Spider-Man, and Gods, I think is all of a piece, and I think we're slowly going to see what he's building at Marvel. We are merely players in Jonathan Hickman's games.
I would call this issue Cover Girl because it's easy breezy and beautiful.
Oh my god, it was so much fun to read. It was
art is on point.
Marcus Cheto, who coming off of Daredevil, and he knew this was his shot, and he always told Chip that he would like to put more Spider-Man in there because he loves drawing Spider-Man. But boy,
he does.
He wasn't lying.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Again, the book I felt it reminded me a lot of Tom King and Dan Sampier's Wonder Woman, in that every panel feels consequential. Every panel feels like a writer and artist working at their highest levels
and deliberate.
And deliberate, like everything is, there's nothing is misplaced. None of these scripts were like dashed out under a deadline. Nothing. Right. This is like both of these books are the highest example of what the medium can do right now. I think.
And I do believe this one does have a first appearance, unlike the first one, in the sense that, but that's not like, I don't want to make you guys all rabid, like now you have to get it if you didn't care before. It shouldn't make you care, but if you didn't already. But it is a very cool take on somebody we already know, and he's very Peter Parker in this, and I waited till very last thing, to read this again. I mean,
because you can't read anything after it because it crushes the buildings. And I would have loved to see what Chip would have had it in mind, but there's Hickman he's really trying to nip at Mark Russell's heels for best living writer working, because like I don't know, if Chip could sell me the Brooklyn Bridge, the Hickman could sell me the East River, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's like next level. So, I mean that'll take us in. If anybody was like read Spider-Man 1 and was like on the fence about following it up, God,
You're like, yeah, no, I'm good. I think this isn't really, I feel like it's not going anywhere. And you go, But it's, guys, just read the damn book. It is so good.
Yeah.
If you can get your hands on it, go out there and get it. This time I tried to do a little bit better with ordering. We have some copies. You can feel free to stop by and pick it up. But most of you already have it because the polls
yeah,
are up there. It is great.
You read that first one, you know how good it is. This is Hickman. Hickman's not messing around.
It's good stuff.
So I mean, we waded in. We're up to the knees. The water's. We got a little bit acclimated to it. I think we should just dive in.
Sure.
All right, we are talking about the Marvel Ultimate Universe this week.
Yeah.
And this is we'll start at the beginning. I mean, the year was 2000. America was enjoying its last year with a balanced budget for the rest of its history. Robert Zemeckis was asking what lies beneath. And on the radio, the Baja Men just wanted to know who let the dogs out. The year was 2000, folks. It was the year of my first kiss. I didn't think my mom was going to use tongue. That was a surprise.
That would be.
But I learned a lot that day. It was a.
Why are you so mean to your mom, man?
I was nice to her. She was doing something nice for me. But this was the year that Marvel launched their Unlimited, their Ultimate Universe, and it was launched. It was Joe Quesada who 2 years before, as we've spoken about this on Running with the Devil, he started the Marvel Knights imprint, and it was such a success. It was such a surprise success that 2 years later, he was named editor-in-chief of Marvel, and so then he launched the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who was alive at that time knows that the banner title was Ultimate Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
By Brian Michael Bendis and
Bagley on art.
Bagley on art.
Yep.
Beginning what would be a record-breaking run, and the whole thing was designed. It was a jumping-on point for new readers.
It worked.
And it worked. Everybody had this book. I never liked I always thought the covers looked cheap, but the art inside and the stories were just so great.
I'm the same way. I didn't like the trade dress to where it was like, it looked too, like, I don't know how to describe it. You know how when you have the motion thing on in your television and it makes everything look too in focus I don't know. Like when you move it past the 24 frames that you're accustomed to, it's like stops being cinema and turns into something else. Like it's like the cover equivalent of that.
Oh, absolutely. It's like watching a TV show on the BBC.
Yes,
it looks like that. And they launched it with Spider-Man, X-Men, Ultimate X-Men, which was very good. And then I'll say this: the Mark Millar. I give Mark Millar a lot of crap on this show. If people who've been listening for years know, it's because he's not good at writing. But he wrote the Ultimates with art by Brian Hitch, and I loved it. Yep. I absolutely loved it. And then that's the run, folks. And the Ultimates was essentially the Avengers,
right?
And he's also and this is also where he turns Nick Fury into Sam Jackson.
Yep.
And that's where that came from. And also, if you guys remember this, later on in the series when Jeff Loeb took over, this is where. Speaking of incest, this is where Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch have a very they explicitly state that they are in a
relationship.
Yes. Yep. Which was that was fun.
That was a choice.
It was a choice. But it retold the origins of all these characters. Spider-Man had enjoyed pretty much the same origin story. It just for a new generation didn't want to read 30 some 6 years of comics.
Sure.
And it was great. It didn't try to reinvent the wheel. And then later we got Ultimate Fantastic Four out of this, and that's going to lead into a big, a lot of stuff coming up because that's where we get the ultimate. And what is it? 1610.
1610.
And that's where we get. So we have the ultimate version of Reed Richards and Marvel's First Family.
Yep.
Which maybe we should say really quick about the casting.
Sure.
Okay.
Now's a good spot.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys think. I think I think Vanessa Kirby is inspired casting. I think the rest are merely fine.
Yes.
But based on the art and the title card, if that's the direction they're going to go, I'm very excited about it.
I don't know if this is popular or not. I don't really care. Pedro Pascal is not Reed Richards to me. It is like, I feel like, I think I said it in the shop before. It's nothing against him at all. I like him just fine. I think he does a great job, but like,
he's not the striking personage
yes,
that Reed should be.
He needs to be. I need to know that he's smarter than me, and I don't feel like I've seen Pedro do that yet. Maybe he can.
Yeah.
Maybe the script will deliver. Maybe he'll deliver on the script. But my range has been what he was on Game of Thrones. I've seen him as Max. I've seen him make the joke of Maxwell Lord, which again was a script.
Wrong.
It was kind of goofy.
Yeah.
And I've seen him be father figure to terrestrial and extraterrestrial creatures. So
Sure,
we'll see.
And the whole point of being under the armor in Mandalorian is when he does finally reveal the face. It's like the whole point is that it is just a very regular face. And don't get me wrong. Pedro Pascal is a sexy daddy, but for Reed Richards, you need a sexy father.
And I feel like it was messed up where Krasinski was.
I love Krasinski.
No, I do too.
I loved him.
But I'm saying, like, in Doctor Strange, I feel like it was like modern and he looked too young. And then I feel like this is going to be in the 60s and Pedro's going to look too old.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bunch of theories and stuff. And I think yours is the correct one, which is the reason why I think it starts there. There's some kind of displacement and they show up in the modern times. And maybe at that point, then we'll have the streaky whites.
Right,
with
sure.
him or whatever else.
And like I told you, I hope it's like very much like the Brady Bunch movie where it's a out of time, not too jokey, but I think it would be kind of fun if like Johnny Storm, since he's super hip and up to date on all the
Or
things.
Blast from the Past. Did you see that the Brendan Fraser? And
I absolutely love that movie.
I love that movie.
The best line in the movie, I can't say it on radio, but it's a great movie, guys.
It's great.
Yeah, whenever I think about building a bomb shelter in my backyard, I think of Christopher Walken in that movie.
Absolutely.
But so Reed 1610, and it's a different origin story. He's a child prodigy. Him and Sue, it's before they're married. Actually, I don't think they get married in this. No, they don't, because this leads to some bad stuff.
Yep.
This leads to some bad stuff. This Reed, he's a little less self-assured than the one we have, and he meets Sue and his Johnny, and then his friend is Ben, and I don't know. There's a harder edge.
It's hard to describe.
It is hard to describe. Well, because it wasn't as good of a. It was. I think it was Bendis and Millar both scripting at the same time.
Yes.
And my understanding is that Mark Millar lives in Scotland.
Yes.
And Bendis does not. Bendis is.
That was the easier part with Hitch, because Hitch does as well.
Oh, okay.
So that was the team up as far as that goes. They were able to keep it localized, which is why it was so cohesive.
So okay. So and they were trying to collaborate on this script.
Yeah.
On these scripts, and it's like with whatever mid 2000s video technology was. And
I mean, we just got over Y2K. We were terrified to do anything.
I think that's why they launched this in 2000. They were just waiting to see if we were going to make it. But it was, the Ultimate Universe was a success, and it was going concurrently with the mainline 616.
And people that read it, if you ask them, they prefer Ultimate Spider-Man. I mean, if that was like, there's a lot of people where that was their first one. Yes.
Yeah, the Ultimate Spider-Man was better at that time, and it went great until 2009 when they had an event called Ultimatum, again written by Jeff Loeb with art by David Finch. The art is never the problem, but that is where Reed gets burnt on his Johnny Storm burns his face. That's why he looks like that now, and he gets turned down. He asks Sue to marry him, and Sue says no.
Yep.
And what happens? Then we're at ultimate enemy, and he moves back in with his parents. And at this point, if you're thinking that does not sound like a fun Reed Richards book, that's a good instinct. That's a good instinct. But don't fear not, because it's going to get worse. Here comes the cold water. Ultimate mystery.
Oh yeah.
He kills his parents.
There you go.
Kills them. Fakes his own death.
Man.
And then what does he do? Teams up with Dr. Doom.
Yep, like you do.
Yeah, and the rest of the heroes are like, bro, like, dude, not cool.
Right.
And so he explains, he's like, I don't know, he's like depressed or he's like, I don't want to live in this world anymore. He's like, he said he wants to go to another world and make it better.
Yep.
It's like some sort of, I don't know, maker.
Yep. Maker.
And then, then we'll get you guys back. Ultimate Fallout, which I'm sure a lot of people you are familiar with. This is when he actually becomes the maker. I think in issue 4, but it also introduces whom?
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales. What issue was that?
That was Ultimate Fallout 4.
It was?
It was.
Oh, man.
Yes, it was.
No wonder. Sure. And Miles Morales is far and away the best thing to come out of
all of it.
That probably the entire thing, and I think Hickman would agree.
Except for the readership leading the charge with Spider-Man. I mean, I kind of I understand we're going through the chronology of this, but I do want to touch on that. So
no, I just want to get, because this is all because we're going to be talking about the maker. So I want everybody to know why the 1610 Reed that we have is like this. And the last thing I will say is he spent in that last one, Fallout. He's been in the future for 1,000 years.
Yes,
and he's expanding his mind quite literally. That's why he also has the larger cranium. And if you ask me, if you spend 1,000 years in the future and then come back, you have gone fucking crazy. You are, and he is. The maker is clearly an insane person.
Yes,
but he's also still Reed Richards, so he's insane and the smartest man alive.
It was a cool in that way. It was kind of neat because I think honestly it was probably like, okay, what if Reed Richards was a Joker?
Yeah,
ish.
Right.
Or he's got more of his faculties as far as that goes. But I mean,
so
there's
the
a
Riddler.
Touch of it.
Yeah, he's very. But I would have thought. I thought, okay, that's it. I would have never expected him to come back.
Where's this going to go
in the way that he did? So anyway, what were you?
Sorry. So I was going to say, just for some background here, and I may have stated it on here before, but people in the shop know. The buzz leading up to this with Ultimate Spider-Man for me was not the year 2000 buzz that Ultimate Spider-Man was. Like, I didn't experience that. I was in school and I did not have the money. Like, Ultimates completely passed me by at the time. Like, I did not read any of it in real time. It was going back. So like, there's a lot of people that fell in love with the fact that it was kind of modernized. Like, the origin story for Peter Parker wasn't half of the first issue. It was the first 9 issues that covered a lot of stuff.
Really stressed it out.
And it wasn't like he was a photographer. He was a web designer to kind of bring it, to the kind of the future, to make it more relatable to kids and people getting into it. Like, oh, well, this story can be told now. And they kind of transferred some of that stuff. And ultimately, I think a number one, psychologically, people jump on anyway. But this was Spider-Man, and they made it good enough. Like, how many issues does Ben stick around for even? It's a while.
Yeah.
It is the first 8 or 9 issues, right? You get to actually see him.
The uncle, the father figure.
And it was cool seeing that. And And
the
that's
stakes of what Peter loses.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the heart involved. Because like, if you just read the regular origin, you're like, his parents are gone, which means his uncle must be real important, right? And it's like implied.
Yes.
This shows it.
You never got to see it.
Right.
I remember at the time I was such a nerd because I was reading. Bendis was doing Powers.
Yeah.
His other under Marvel's Icon imprint, and that was great. And I remember even thinking at the time, like, man, there's a lot of word bubbles.
Yes.
And it's not like wordy. Well, it is wordy, but that wasn't the issue. It's more like, and he became known for that. He's become known for like bubble, 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 bubble within a panel, within a frame, like
yes,
back and forth dialogue. And I like it. I think when it's good, it's great. So, he brought that exact thing to the Ultimate Universe. Yes. But no, it was a paradigm shift when this came out. Like people at my friends that never read comics had this stuff. Yeah, and it coincided 2 years later with the Spider-Man movie by Tobey Maguire by the great Sam Raimi, and that like it was on and popping.
Yep. So I just want to say that for those of you that haven't done that, I mean, I know pretty much everybody's trying to get on board with this Ultimate, but that isn't. It is very, very, very good reading.
They're great. They're great comics.
But I don't think that's essential as why, you're bringing it up. The most essential thing, if you're talking about bringing it to modern times, is that Fantastic Four book and Fallout.
Well, but speaking of Fantastic Four, so outside of the Ultimate Universe, we're again, Ultimatum was 2009, but 2009 was also an auspicious year for the Fantastic Four and the 616 because a young modern genius Jonathan Hickman.
Yep. Started
Takes over Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four had been ill-served for years. Anybody who's read the Mark Waid, Michael Ringo knows how great it can be. I think Mark Millar had been writing it was merely fine, but when Hickman took over, nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew how good it was going to be.
And I'm in the same boat there in the 90s.
You've read this more recently than me.
Yes. So, and we're going to get to the part now where I'm actually going to be able to speak, because if we're at Fantastic Four, over the past year, I'll tell, full disclosure, I have read Hickman's Fantastic Four run. I read Hickman's
I got him by the shoulders, and I told you this is the best there is.
Because, admittedly, Fantastic Four wasn't my team. X-Men were my team. Like, I grew up with X-Men. In the 90s at the time, I felt like Fantastic Four, and I may have just been completely missing out, and I haven't gone back and revisited. I might be completely wrong, but X-Men was more interesting to me than Fantastic Four at the time. I wasn't around in '63 for the first family to be conjured into out of nothing. I didn't have that.
No,
first love.
My disposition has always been that I like old-fashioned things.
Yes.
And I always have. And I love the X-Men. Don't get me wrong. I was there, but that's what appealed to me about the Fantastic Four. So it is like, that's a strange thing. Like, I totally get, like, nobody I knew liked Fantastic Four, because they are kind of like old-fashioned. But
I've talked about it with Rick. So he was around for the launch.
Yes,
and that means something else. Just like how
and that was
my kids watch The Matrix now. Like, I was at the theater, and that was like, that was a thing.
You can't recreate that.
Yeah.
And also like, that was the first time anybody, for a lot of people, that's their first Kirby art. That dynamic cover with the creature coming out of the.
He could draw sci-fi like a motherfucker.
He conveyed motion in a way that DC artists were not doing. Gil Kane's great, but it wasn't like, it was kinetic, that cover. So like, Marvel's here. They kicked in the door, and like, here, comic books are different now, and they were never the same after that first Fantastic.
There's a lot of those characters there that like you wouldn't have. That's the part that's always made me feel guilty about not liking them, because like, there's no Black Panther. There's no. I mean, I'm saying these are first appearances that show up in these books
in Fantastic Four.
Yeah. It started off with like Mole Man, right?
Yes.
We get to Doom very quickly.
Yeah.
And we've got Black Panther, we've got Silver Surfer, and Galactus. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
That was also anybody who's read Challenger to the Unknown, Jack Kirby knows. Jack Kirby wrote a series for DC. Called Challenge to the Unknown, and it was several years. Well, two or 3 years prior to Fantastic Four, but it was about 4 adventurers who go to space, come back down, and now they go and do these crazy missions to save the world, and they all wear uniform outfits that match.
Huh.
Very, very telling. Very, very, very telling. There are astronauts there too. Yeah.
Familiar.
Yeah, and the idea is different enough, but
sure,
it's also similar enough.
It sounds fantastic.
It surely was.
Sure.
Actually, the Challenge That They Know, anybody who wants to those are great old adventure stories. And speaking of Jeff Loeb, because Jeff Loeb, he since like the mid-aughts, he's less popular, and his books have not been as good. But one of the first things that he did in mainstream comics when he first came out is he wrote a modern retelling of Challenge to the Unknown, early 90s, and it was very much like a Tom King.
Yeah.
Like flipping these characters on their side and like showing like what are the exigencies of their psyches. Yeah, it was very good. But also, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale did Dark Victory, Long Halloween, all these great comics. But anyway,
he did work on the Daredevil show. I mean,
he was more into that. Yeah, and that's very good. Yep. So yeah, no, Jeff Loeb is good. And Hush is not my favorite, but a lot of people it is, and that's fine. So anyway, Hickman comes on the book and he makes it
sing.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's next level. It is next level, you guys. And I can't go. All I can do is excitedly talk about the things that I remember, the high points. Like last night.
I mean, you can kind of tell.
I was really excited on the phone last night.
Yes, and in the going back through it and finding it. So we do the books for research, but we also try to do research on the people and the stories of how they ended up getting on the books and things like that. So Hickman admittedly had said that he wasn't big into Fantastic Four and read it almost immediately.
He read pretty much all of it.
When you find that out, pretty much almost immediately in Fantastic Four run, Spider-Man shows up, which that's exactly that was how Spider-Man showed up.
Issue 1
was him trying to join the Fantastic Four.
Council of Reeds. Issue 1.
Yes.
His first issue on the book. And it's crazy. It's like he had those ideas then.
Yes.
Already. And that would come into play later. The Council of Reeds, Reed builds a multidimensional teleportable.
bridge.
Doesn't tell his wife.
Nope.
Doesn't tell his wife. Valeria finds out, but doesn't tell his wife. And he goes to this place where all the Reeds from all the multiverses.
Like they all had the same idea,
Yes.
which all placed them in this same spot, but they're all from different spots.
And they're all there, and
Multiverse.
and they're all there, and they say the point is like to solve the universe's problems, because of course Reed is hubristic. He has that hubris to him. He thinks I'm the one that should be doing this. I'm the smartest one here, and it's for altruistic purposes. But also Reed has an ego. I mean that's a problem that he has. But also the Maker.
Yes.
The 1610 is, of course, one of these people. So it's like, oh, there he is. And what a terrific thing. But again, you don't think anything of it.
They're also lobotomizing Dooms
Yes.
and keeping them in the basement.
And that
Like, there's some crazy stuff that happens. in
And
this.
that is unethical.
It is very bad. I don't care who you are.
I am against lobotomizing Doom, and you can quote me on that.
So, I mean, I don't know. Everybody should be hype about reading that book. And the thing is like, it is completely relevant. And I can honestly say this because I've done it recently. If it sounds crazy, but if you want to get the absolute most satisfaction out of reading Ultimate Spider-Man #2 next week,
Well,
you should start
the point that
with, as far as with Hickman's
Yes.
run on it. We're talking about Fantastic Four for a reason because it all touches. Like, since he's been writing, then it all touches.
yes,
to
we
now.
talked about earlier about like he's building castles with Ultimate Universe. You don't understand, we're already on the 18th floor.
Yes.
He started this. What he's doing right now, he started this with Fantastic Four, and he continued it with Secret Warriors. No, Secret Warriors was first.
Yes, and then Fantastic Four.
Then Fantastic Four, but at the same time he was writing Shield, which in Shield, his Shield, it was 500 years in the past, and you find out that Shield had a schism. Of course, so Da Vinci was a member of Shield.
Yep.
And Newton was a member of Shield. They had a schism. One person went this way, the other person went that way. Leonardo da Vinci, of course, built their ordnance because he was the engineer. Because Jonathan Hickman is amazing. And then they were going back and forth through the timeline. So you find out that Nathaniel Richards, Reed Richards' dad, was working for Shield in the modern times, and that's why he wasn't in the picture, and that affected Reed.
But Times never really bothered Nathaniel.
No,
because
no.
you find that. Yep.
So like that's all of a piece with this Fantastic Four run, but it's not all like just the character work in Fantastic Four. There are moments where you're laughing, there are moments when you're crying, and I'm going to spoil a 12-year-old book for you guys, but
Yep.
he kills off Johnny Storm.
He does
In one of the most
badass way possible.
Johnny Storm. Who was it that was coming for him?
It was Thing.
No. That Johnny Storm was fighting.
Oh, it was the Annihilation Wave.
It was the Annihilation Wave.
Because they had already at that point, Reed had already locked it up. It was the entire Annihilation Wave.
And they are alone. It's just John and Ben. And you guys, if you don't know, like their history, they love each other, but they are constantly picking at each other.
Yes.
And they act like they hate each other,
Brothers.
but they're brothers, man. And Johnny locks the Thing outside of the Annihilus Wave. Because Johnny he's gonna save Ben, he's gonna save the world, and he faces the Annihilus Wave head on. And if you're reading these panels, and he was just like he's like, I'm not afraid of you. You think I'm afraid? And then he says, "Flame on." Woo!
Dude,
And
the hairs on my arm stood up just now, just with us saying it. It was
incredible.
nuts.
Oh, and then on the other side of the glass, Ben is
Torn up.
it like kills him,
and
kills
he
him.
is done for issues
Yes.
upon issues upon issues.
And this changes the Fantastic Four to the point where the book changed names. It became the Future Foundation.
For multiple reasons, because that was also the school that was founded
Yes.
for the young. So the premise behind that was Reed's mentality was that what changes between childhood and adulthood is you experience things and you're told that things work this way. And all the creativity as a child, if you can get those smartest, the smartest children of whatever race or whatever else together, but devoid of that growing up,
Yes.
you have the creativity to solve all problems.
That's how I live my life, man.
So there's the Council of Reeds, that part of it. This is a little bit further along because he drops the whole bridge thing, supposedly.
Yes.
And then starts Future Foundation as the means of like, okay, I still want to solve these problems. We'll do it this way. It's also a callback, again, like I was saying, to Amazing Spider-Man back in the day, because then Johnny is gone and Spider-Man joins the Fantastic Four at this point. So,
But that's even playing off the history of the Fantastic Four, where
Yes.
there was always like a substitute member, like for
She-Hulk for a
She-Hulk was
while.
in the John Byrne run, and that's like paying homage to that, but also like it makes so much sense in the story. And Spider-Man fits like a glove.
he has been so
He's what the family needed at that time.
And it's the heartfelt moments. Like, I was excited about his Spider-Man based upon the work that he did in Fantastic Four, because he is there for Ben and
The kids.
Franklin. Big time. One of the best character moments in all of Marvel Comics, in my opinion, is when Johnny is gone and he's up on the roof. Remember? They're eating hot dogs.
Oh, yes.
It was one of my favorite things ever. Where he wanted Spider-Man. Remember, there was another scene also where he wanted Spider-Man to come to his birthday party, and then he like
on the
hides
thing's
behind
back.
the thing's back. Yeah, it was so cool. Like,
Great. And the Future Foundation, Valeria is on there, and you find out that she is a genius, just like her dad.
you get to see her just walk into Latveria like with no like.
Dr.
fear.
Doom is her godfather.
Yep.
And again, it's like Severus Snape.
Yes.
Dr. Doom, he acts tough, like he is Doom. He is an evil person, but he loves Valeria with a dying, fiery passion because she's Sue's daughter.
And he's responsible ultimately for her being born. That's I always forget exactly when that
For
happened.
nefarious reasons, somewhere in the run, there's a lot going on in there.
So Sue was pregnant with the kids. Reed couldn't figure it out. It was basically going to kill her. Doom did
Yes,
figure it out,
yeah.
and then he basically held that over Reed. Like
Way
that
to
whole
save
competition
Valeria.
thing. Yeah.
But
so
there, it's the point. It's the thing is like they will let Dr. Doom babysit Valeria. Dr. Doom wants to kill the Fantastic Four, but they will let Valeria stay in Latveria,
Which
with
is
because
absolutely
they know
wild.
no one will protect her more than Dr. Doom. But okay,
we're completely ignoring the other child, which ends up being the
Franklin, who is
most
the
important
most he's the most powerful mutant in the
period.
period.
Yes.
He is it. He can make remake worlds, think them up.
through the process of going through this Fantastic Four run. Yes, like later on when you're talking about Avengers and Secret Wars, it's not quite to that point because he's already played that out. It's something different, but yes, as it exists, because this is already Franklin at this point. He has these abilities. Like it had already been triggered, and then it had been reverted back.
Okay.
Right, and in Fantastic Four,
Yeah,
he's
I know.
rediscovering
And
it.
now he
Right,
can't. Right. And not for nothing, guys, but if you're listening to this at home, Google the Future Foundation uniforms.
Good
the uniform redesign was
the black and white.
Oh my! I loved it so. I love it so much, so much. But so that was a 4-year run, and he brought the team back. Like Fantastic Four, it is on and popping. And then he was given an even bigger job at Marvel.
It was over the course of 2 Omnis.
Yes,
Crazy
yes.
good.
Yep. And then he was offered the Avengers.
Yes.
I don't know if he was offered or if he was just like, I'm doing the Avengers. And they just said, with
sir.
trembling fingers, they said, yes, sir. He took over for Brian Michael Bendis, who's doing the main line, New Avengers.
You said was okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. But Hickman is Hickman. Like I said earlier, it's like Steve Kerr passing the ball to Michael Jordan. Steve Kerr's pretty good.
He's absolutely good.
Michael Jordan. And he begins a run. Now, his Avengers it's besides being a celebration of Marvel and comics as a whole, and he builds on the history of Marvel, he builds on the history of the Ultimate Universe, and he incorporates both into this. And it's less an Avengers movie, Avengers book, and more a Marvel book because the team is whatever he wants it to be. And at the very beginning,
Yeah. Avengers is a very loose term.
yes, and he clearly had carte blanche at Marvel. And at
Most of the time, for those of you who don't know, editorial will run it by. They're like, oh, you can't use that person. They're being done in this.
Yes.
And I feel in this circumstance, there was nothing off limit. Like if you wanted to grab someone who was like, okay, well,
no one wanted to meet the cold glare of Jonathan Hickman and try to decide who was more of a man. That
I will say unapologetically, it is the best. It is the best comic book run within continuity that I've ever read.
yes, I will say that it's the best. It's my favorite Marvel run and one of my favorite runs of all time of any comic book. Again, very early in the run, you're introduced to the Illuminati. Reed Richards is, of course, part of the Illuminati. These are the most powerful people in the Marvel universe.
Like the same group that was in Road to Civil War. Like that, it's the same people, but there's an added member that you didn't know about from that time period.
Yes, and they still work in the shadows. They are Secret Cabal, Professor X, Doctor Strange.
Well, I guess that one's different. Professor X wasn't. Yeah, because the only reason why he doesn't come back is because he gets killed in EVX, right? Okay. Yeah. So, Black Panther.
Black
so
Panther,
T'Challa,
very
Namor.
important. Namor, very important. The Titans,
Doctor Strange.
Titans of the Marvel
on and so
universe,
forth.
and
Black Bolt.
Black Bolt, yes. And what's happening that there is a and this is kind of what dominates this run, the Avengers run, is and this goes from 2012 to 2015, just so you guys know where we're at, because this is all important. This is all informing when you read Ultimate Spider-Man 2 next week. There are incursions, universes are colliding, and when universes collide, one of the two is eradicated, and everyone on that universe dies. And they have to decide, the Illuminati take it upon themselves to decide, what do we do about it? And they decide, we destroy that universe before it can
destroy ours.
And it's like, we either save everyone here on our universe or everyone dies. In both, Captain America is like, don't care for that at all. We can save everybody. And he leaves in a huff. And you see where he's coming from. You do, because
he is right.
He's right, but also morally he's right. But also, it's like,
don't be so naive, you idiot.
We're working on and Reed is like working desperately on a solution. But it's like, it's hard. It's hard, and they don't figure it out. They do not figure it out. They get to the point, and there's
a lot of the Infinity Gauntlet does. I mean, this is like a big problem. Infinity Gauntlet doesn't work. They tried it.
Did you ever want?
All it did was bust the stones.
Yep.
They have. They have all kinds, you know how it is, Reed's on the team. So is Stark. Like, if it's engineering, you've got magic.
The greatest minds that exist are here. And
like, maybe we can get them to phase through each other. All kinds of crazy ideas that they try to get to pass off on this, and it's just nothing's working.
And these are world-ending, like, and they're terrifying. Reading these are like terrifying.
Not to mention.
No.
On these other multiverses, there's an Illuminati there that are trying to do the same thing.
And you get to see the Avengers fight other Avengers, and of course, because there are so many great moments in this. He gets the characters so well, and
part of the delight is seeing it'll be the same first half of a book, but it takes place on a different Earth, and the Illuminati are just like little tweaks, like just a few members are different, and it changes like the whole dynamic. There's subtleties there where you see the dynamic change as far as the plan of attack. And
so much of the fun of that book is like every issue you realize you're in better hands than you can imagine.
Yes.
Like Hickman is telling stories on a different level, and that's part of the joy. And because he's Jonathan Hickman, and because like he does the aha thing where once you hear it, you're like, why didn't anybody think of that first? It comes down, every universe is destroyed, all but two, the 616 and of course the Ultimate Universe.
1610.
Take 1610. And they are going to collide. And Reed, did the Maker show up yet? Because the Maker is, of course, trying to figure it out, and he is. They're trying to work on a solution, and they can't. And the best Reed can come up with is to build a life raft.
Yes,
for lack of a better term,
which is like a temporal space where outside of space and time that.
Because when these two collide, all of reality will be destroyed.
Because he needs more time to figure it out, but this place would basically displace it, put it in a bubble to where everything would happen around them, but they could try to figure something out stuck inside more or less. But I also want to go back just for people out listening that may care about these characters or may not know that this is where it came from. So you wouldn't have the Black Order in Endgame and things like that if it weren't for Infinity, which happened in the middle of this, like a mini boss, I guess, in this run was the Infinity Run, which is where the Black Order,
Proxima Midnight, Ebony
Maw, the Glaive, whatever.
Corvus Glaive.
All of that was created in this run of the Avengers, New Avengers. Like, it was 2 books running concurrently.
Yeah. So think about it, and that's what's great about the MCU. And if we're talking about the Infinity War and Endgame, you think of like Jim Starlin did the Infinity War in 91, I think, and then you get Nick Fury, the redesign in 2000. You get the Winter Soldier in the 2005, 2006, and then you get the Black Order. And that's what is great about the MCU is they take this amalgamation and they blend it beautifully into these.
It was
10
books. Years of movies, but 50 years of comics.
Yes, and it was slowly a slow amalgamation of these, and it was great. And so at the end, it is the two collide, and they can't save it. Everything is destroyed, and there's a page.
The most baller splash page in all of comic books.
It is a tombstone of dates. The Marvel Universe 1963 to 2015, the Ultimate Universe 2000 to 2015. I think Jonathan Hickman wrote that one with his balls. It was
crazy.
He did it. He did it. He ended both universes. He ended continuity. And it is just blank space. And then that's the end of the Avengers run. That's how that ends. And you're just like, what? And then we are led into Secret Wars. And we should note again the absolute like cojones on this guy, because Secret Wars is famously, it was 1984 miniseries written. It was the idea of Jim Shooter, and it was written by Jim Shooter. And it was such a cynical move. It was they take all the heroes of the universe,
Put him on a war planet.
to put on a war world, and they're said, and you're like, all right, you're gonna battle to the death, and it's like, and it was just to sell books and to sell toys,
And it worked.
and it worked. It worked so well, in fact, that they made a Secret Wars 2, and that's where we got the black suit, and
No, Secret Wars 1.
that was Secret Wars 1. Okay. And that is where we got Boom Boom, everybody. I think it was Secret Wars number 6. One of my favorite X-Force members, love her. Tabitha Smith, I think. But it's famously bad. And it is. I reread them a couple months ago, and it's like, yeah, they're still not good. But they're fun, but they're not good.
But they're coming out in facsimile, so put them on your pull.
Absolutely. Well, but it is, the history is important. I mean, it's such a milestone in the Marvel canon. But Hickman took it and he's like, I'll call it Secret Wars. I'm going to do my own Secret Wars. And he made it beautiful. So at that moment of incursion where everything is destroyed, the Life Raft does make it through. The Life Raft makes it through the end of reality.
Well, I'm sorry.
But not everybody makes it.
The most important thing is there's the Life Raft, but there was a supplementary ship that was supposed to go back into it. Reed is reaching out to grab that ship, which has Sue
Has his whole
and his whole family on that other ship. And because everything went to plan, T'Challa's like, thumbs up, we're doing great, blah, blah, blah. He reaches out, and then
That ship has Spider-Man, T'Challa, Reed, a few other heroes. Make it through.
yeah,
I think there's like 5 heroes, but then elsewhere, so he loses his family, and then elsewhere there is a Neverwhere. Where have Doom and Strange have been hard at work trying to figure out a magical solution to this. At the moment of incursion, they created, with the Molecular Man, they created a new reality, a safe haven, and it was made in haste, and it was an agglomeration of all these little pieces of all the different universes kind of shoveled together on this island called Warworld. And Doom took over the role of God. Doom created this in his image. Doom imagined this world. This is the only reality left. This is all there is.
There is nothing
so
else.
When on the other side of that Life Raft, when they got through, this is where it lands because it's the only thing in all of space-time that is a thing. It's the only place to land. And once they land, they realize, oh, Dr. Doom created this place and is running as if he was a god. This is not safe for us. So
nobody has seen him. Like there's mythology there.
It's
crazy.
And they're hiding out. So
In
Doom
a sky castle.
Yes,
is awesome.
And the whole war world, it's policed. Doom City is policed by an army of Thors, which is a great idea. But Doom's wife and kids, he created Sue and Franklin and Valeria for himself. And that's the thing, is even if he can create his own, he wanted Reed's life.
Reed's family, yeah.
He wanted Reed's life that badly, and he it's a sad, sick sign. I mean, you'd feel bad for Doom if he wasn't so goddamn evil. And his consigliere, his
No, he's not. I mean, yes, he's that's another reason why he's one of the all-star villains. Like,
yes.
I don't feel when he's on screen or on panel, I don't feel like he's evil. Like when you see the result of what he's done, you feel that way. But when you hear him speak, he doesn't seem unreasonable. He doesn't seem.
Has he ever reminded you of Black Adam?
Yes,
I get a lot of that, especially with in terms of like Black Adam and how he feels about Kondak.
but Doom, I don't feel. Honestly, truthfully, at the end of this book is one of the only times I've seen Doom have flat out rage. Most of the time he's very composed.
I think it's suppressed rage most of the time, but it is.
Yes,
like,
but I mean, as far as letting it out,
right. He does not. Yeah, he doesn't like to do that. He doesn't like to show his hand or admit that he has that rage, because Doom does not have weakness, as everyone who knows Doom knows.
And there's so many opportunities here where like you start like rooting for him or understanding it, because Doom, I feel in this is a better person, and it's because like Sue is a support system. So Sue is Sue no matter what, but Doom with Sue, like he's still Doom, because he walked into that with that baggage. But
she tempers his worst habits. She can make him not do things that he maybe would have done.
Because she, even at the beginning, where there's the problem, and she's like, mercy, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, actually, you just go to jail for a while and you fuck off. You know? And then instead of, because before it was going to be like everybody in court wants him to like destroy him, but he chose mercy instead. But I also want to mention, because it's very relevant and it's important, is at the point where all of this was created, nobody remembers anything. The world started 8 years ago. For 8 years.
Because Doom created this.
Yes.
This is Doom's creation. The only people that were there is Doom, Doctor Strange, and the Molecular Man.
Yes.
They're the only ones. And Doctor Strange is now his like right hand. He is like his consigliere. He like makes the law what it is. You know. And then where's the Molecular Man? That's a good question. We'll find out. Now that life raft landed, they remember, they know, and they're just like, what, this world. But we find out there was a second life raft because the villains were not idle. The villains were not idle.
1610 Thanos
and the Black Order.
And the Black Order.
And a few more friends. And they get off, and, you know, villains are going to do villain shit. But this is one of the moments where I squealed reading this. I remember it because a head pops out. There was a stowaway on the bad guy's ship.
Yep. And this is why he's in 616. That's why anything ever happened.
And that's why Miles Morales is part
was
of
cloaked.
the main line. Miles Morales stowed away on the bad guy's ship, and then he finds the good guys, and it's great. I'm sure
Maker brought them there. That's ultimately the tie there. Maker was on Thanos and Maker, because they have more in common, you know, obviously. So it was Maker and Thanos and all of that stuff on one ship.
Yes, no, this is where but then once Maker and Reed do team up.
They do team up, yes.
in Secret Wars, yes, and they're like, we have to stop Doom.
Yes.
And you know,
because Maker it's always a means to an end. He's not going to be God on this planet, so he's like, all right, we're just going to destroy this again.
There's no reality to improve. It's only, you know, we need to figure out how to fix this. And you know, a lot of fun stuff happens. You guys should read this. Read. We're not spoiling it. What we are, but there's so much great stuff. Like,
it doesn't matter with the Hickman book. The joy is you have to read the dialogue. We can give you an overview, but the dialogue is the joy and the panels and it
moves and you know. So ultimately, like, there are still comics. Marvel did not quit in 2015. It did not. It still is going on as evidenced of all the books that we are talking about. Read. And if you guys like, there's a big battle at the end, and if you've ever wanted to see T'Challa wield the Infinity Gauntlet, you get your wish. Now, my favorite part though, when Thanos
holy shit,
Doom, and he gives a speech, and it is amazing. Doom dispatches him without a second.
It is so funny because Thanos does what Thanos does, and you guys have all seen this panel, I'm sure. It's probably a meme or something.
You got to be a mad titan to come at Doom like that.
Yeah, he's like, it is nuts. So anyway,
but then they find the Molecular Man. He's been kept in a kind of a negative space.
Yeah, white hot room. That's where it comes from. The white hot room.
Oh, and that's right. Yeah, because when Doom finds out that Reed and all the good guys are there, Doctor Strange sacrificed himself to give them just a few seconds extra to like.
No, that's not even before that. I'm sorry, and I know it's been a while for you. So, Doom flat out murders Doctor Strange and blames it on one of the other factions.
Oh, on the okay.
No, he blames it on the Thanos group because that's the one they do know about.
Yeah,
they
don't know that they're there yet.
They don't know they're there yet. So he blames it on that, and the person that cracks the code on all of that is Valeria. Hears Doom and says thinks he's full of shit.
Yes. Even imagine Valeria is a genius. Doesn't he have his Sanctum Sanctorum is like an island, Agamotto?
It's but it's more of like a Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, because it's like a place. Yes. It's like a little atoll.
There's two artifacts in there. There's one that's a doorway that'll take you anywhere you want, and the other one is the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah. But then Reed and the Maker. So Reed and Doom. And it's a showdown. And then and that's when the Maker reveals his hand, and he turns on Reed.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to do this. And then once the Molecule Man hears what the Maker's plans are, he dispatches the Maker. He like vivisects him, right?
He turns the whole time he's talking about how hungry he is. He turns him into food.
Yes. And then the Maker is no more.
Then it's just it. It's done.
And then
Maker's gone.
So the power that the Molecular Man gave Doom to create this universe, he gives to Reed to remake the 616 reality.
But not before they fight, which is like
Reed and Doom,
Reed and Doom
and
fight.
you get the showdown.
But he depowers Doom. He doesn't give him the power. He was like a conduit, more or less, right? So he takes the power away from Doom. So it's just Doom versus just Reed. And Reed is wrestling with the fact that he's standing in a world where his wife has seen him a couple times. I mean, somewhat feels familiar, but it's not his wife. It's exactly his kids, and Doom's done all of this.
Yeah.
And Doom's just like, oh, fucking course. Reed's here to take back, doing what Reed does. And then it's like an actual badass fist fight between the two.
Because Hickman he's elegant and he's cerebral and he's brainy, but man, he's a fan. He knows what you want.
Yeah.
He is going to write you a great comic, and he does. And, Reed wins.
And then it gets down to the end of it because he doesn't
this
win.
is fresh for you.
He doesn't win because of the fight. He wins because in the course of the dialogue, Reed, Doom's like, you're just so fucking perfect, aren't you, Reed? Like if you had the chance to do all this, unlike me who actually did it, you would have done it better, wouldn't you? And he's like, yeah, I absolutely would have. And you know that too. And he's like, fine, you're right. And then that was all Molecular Man needed to hear. He's like, okay, you agree then. And then he gives the power to Reed.
Yes. And the thing is, and then Reed does do it better.
Yeah, then he does do it better.
So he recreates the 616.
Yes.
And he recreates Doom. And I do remember, I don't know if it's the very last page, but I remember Doom takes his mask off and
He's
Reed
got his face.
has given him his face back. Reed was the bigger man, or was he just trolling him? I don't know. But it's like he imagined a better world for
Well, it's a
everybody.
callback too, because I think it was actually, it plays into it. Reed will flat out tell you, he's like, I know you can be better than this. He knows that. Doom has a real problem with the way his face is messed up. That's even touched on in Secret Wars
on his shoulder,
because Sue pulls the mask off and says, you should let people see who you really are.
Yeah.
That was double meaning or whatever else, but you see his gross, disgusting face. And he's self-conscious about it. Like he's got all these other gifts, but he looks like this. That's why it is. So I think at the end, I don't think it was him being a dick. I think Reed was like, this is another obstacle between you and being a better person.
Okay, so now
like he's giving it to him. So I think
do better because you don't have that holding you back anymore.
And like I said, I have a huge advantage because I plowed through this last night along with the rest of these books. So
but that's great though. That takes you to 2015, 2016.
Yes.
Nothing bad happened that year. But that's the thing. So Hickman we all thought he was done, and he was. And this is a little background. He was going to go to DC. He was going to go to DC. He was going to write the New Gods for DC. No. I take that back. That was later because then he did Hoxpox, and then he left because of editorial disagreements, and then he was going to go to DC and to do New Gods, and Marvel coaxed him back with something, and that's why. So when Ultimate Invasion was announced and Gods were announced, I was very surprised because the Ultimate Invasion had a definitive end. Surely, turns out no. The Maker got better
for Secret Wars.
Yes.
So it kicks off. You find out
Ultimate Invasion, one that just came out. I'm talking about the one that just came out, the 4-issue series.
Maybe we don't go as deep into this one because it is fresh and the trade's not even out yet.
Okay.
And that was a hard one. But anyway, Maker is in it. Miles is in it.
And Maker goes to Miles and offers, because Maker is he decides that this is the world that he's going to improve.
He wants to recreate 1610.
This is the world that he was, yes. And so he depowers many of the Marvel heroes. He removes, he's the one, he goes back in time, to the field trip.
So he escapes from the prison on 616 through crazy methods. Like it was graphic. It was weird. I was like, what is this? Like this was pretty crazy for Marvel. But he ends up creating this world, yes. But he takes the next step and says, since he's aware of all of the events, he goes and he stops all the superheroes because in order for him to run it, he has to be like the ultimate.
So he goes to the field trip that Parker's on. He stops the radioactive spider from biting him. He stops all these different
All
like
heroes.
There's no gamma rays for Hulk. There's no like all these things like
No superhero, no super serum, no any of that.
So now those are the 4 issues, and that is what sets up Ultimate Spider-Man 1. That's why he is 35.
Ultimate Invasion. I'm sorry. The Ultimate Invasion was the 4 books, and then there was the Ultimate Universe, which is a one-shot
Universe.
that leads directly into Ultimate Spider-Man,
Ultimate
which
Spider-Man.
that's important. I'm only mentioning that because there are a few people around because you couldn't stop it. You can't stop Tony Stark from being smart and creating a suit. You can't stop Thor from being an Asgardian god.
Yeah.
Like there was certain constants there. So Ultimate Universe is basically an Ocean's 11 because Maker decided to keep all these artifacts in the data of how these heroes were created in a vault. And that book is them basically busting in and trying to steal one of the caches.
And their stuff back, and
get the
it's
stuff
and it's
back.
so now that is the new that is why there is this new Ultimate Universe, and there is a Doom one shot coming up,
I don't know if that's 616 or if it's going to be.
but it is by Jonathan Hickman,
Yes.
so it will be
So pull it.
all of this is all leading to the same thing. So that's the context. That's why when you're reading Ultimate Spider-Man 1 and 2 now, that's the background, and it's by Hickman. Hickman is the architect of everything that he's the writer of everything we've discussed. There is a greater plan at play here than what we are.
And I've done it. I've proven you can read, the 8 years of his books to catch up. There are beautiful ways of doing so now. Later this year, we want to mention there is a secret, finally in hardcover. The only way to get it, to my knowledge, in hardcover at least, is the Secret Wars Omnibus is coming out, which is going to be the lead-in with Secret Wars on the tail end of that. So that's like October, I believe.
Yes,
something like that.
But like you can get there are 2 Fantastic Four Omnis that collect the entire run, and there are 2 Avengers that collect the entire run, and there's going to be a Secret Warriors Omnibus by Hickman coming out this fall as well.
Yep.
No, wait, that Secret Warriors is out.
Secret Warriors is out.
I have that,
The one that's coming out in a couple of months.
Secret Warriors, Secret Wars.
But Ultimate,
And then-
the new Omni, the Ultimate by Jonathan Hickman Omni is coming out
Yes,
next
with
month,
his
which has the tail end of that
Hawkeye
original
stuff,
Ultimate.
his Thor stuff, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's all available. It's all available to read. And Hickman has such carte blanche at Marvel. He has such a sway that he controls the how the books are laid out. For instance, there are no breaks telling you like the issue and the issue number and everything. You have to read it all the way through. So like you can kind of sense when the end of an issue is and the beginning of one starts, but that's it because he wants you to experience it as one huge epic. It's like anybody who's ever read Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. It's one long story. There's no chapter breaks, but it's good because like there's nothing to interrupt that flow. There's no stopping point. It is an epic story.
And it's weird for me how, just to kind of circle around, we kind of did an overview. Honestly, read those books. If you have, it doesn't matter how you do it. If you got Marvel Unlimited, all of that stuff's on there because it's old enough. It's put together. It's finely crafted in that way. The most important thing is that you read it so that you're prepared and understanding how magical the Spider-Man run actually is, because everything feeds off of each other. If you read Ultimate Invasion, ultimately they pull how Maker even creates the universe is it's accumulated throughout all the different runs, as far as like there's the Terrigen Mist element, there's the if you read Hoxpox element as far as the portals,
Yes.
along with the gate from Fantastic Four. Like it takes all of the things he's done, puts it all together, and Maker takes everything that was significant in all those runs as the means of creating this new universe, which is 6160.
Yeah. Oh, so keeping
So
with
keeping
that.
with that,
And that's the thing about Ultimate Spider-Man 1. Like people who are reading it, it is a jumping on point.
It is.
You don't need any of this, and yet to understand what's going on, and yet if you have all of this, it makes it better. That is such a fine line to walk. It's such a feat that he is pulling off.
It's the difference between reading it and being like, "That's a damn good book," and then or Shane and I reading it and having a shit-eating grin on our face. being like, son
Eyes
of
like
a bitch, did
dinner
it."
plates. Like I can't believe he's doing that. And he's celebrating not just stuff that he's done, but like he's celebrating 50 years, 60 years of Marvel history, and he's doing it like effortlessly.
All the stuff that everybody's done. Like it's like the fact that he took Thanos. Like Thanos is formidable and stuff, but he created that team around him. Like it takes you back to the Infinity Gauntlet stuff, like, as far as the big challenges and whatnot. And like you see, like all kinds of people are there. Like it doesn't matter who you actually like. Hawkeye is there. The Guardians are there. Like there's a crazy Guardians moment in Secret Wars because ultimately how they take the castle down is very, very, very much a Peter Quill and Groot moment. It's like you said before, they use the term Avengers loosely. Everybody, I remember the hype as far as like time runs out. Every single book had the trade dress on it where it was like, 8 months till time runs out, 7 months till time. I mean, it was a big deal, and it was.
And he delivered.
He delivered, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a celebration of Marvel Comics and the comic medium in general. I mean, there's a reason Jonathan Hickman is in my top 3, and boy, he might be in my top 2 at this point.
Yeah. So as far as Ultimates go, I know this is a big jumping on for a lot of people, and a lot of people have opinions on it. We've had people come into the store, that are younger than myself and Shane, but they're like, Ultimate Spider-Man is my Spider-Man. Just like the same way that even younger than that is, Miles, because Ultimate Spider-Man started. Miles didn't come till 4 or 5 years later, right?
No, and seeing like I told you, my niece is 7, and to her, Spider-Man is Miles Morales, and she's like, Peter Parker is like, she's like, I like him, but he's the other one, and it's like we never had another one, and then like when they do introduce a legacy character, it's like, well, yeah, that's a legacy character, that's not the real one, but now we're at a point in time where like there are kids that are growing up with these legacy characters as their people, and that's crazy.
It's like we're in our own multiverse.
And I'm sure there's other examples I'm not thinking of, but like Miles is the most successful legacy character ever because like Donna Troy was a legacy character. Nobody's like, oh, she was my Wonder Woman.
Right.
Nobody's like that. But I love this. Nobody's like, Speedy's my Green Arrow.
Right.
Nobody's like that. It's cool. It's really cool to see. Like I like it. I think the closest lateral to that is the Robins.
Yes.
Because you can have like, well, Tim Drake's Robin. Oh,
right.
Yeah, Nightwing's the old guy. Yeah, that's the closest lateral. But like, how successful of a character? Like
you have to go all the way up to that tier.
Yes,
in order to
Miles like blew up in a great way, and he is a great character. And again, like,
and I would argue it's roughest. Spider-Man is Marvel. That is the top character. So it is. To make a lateral of that is very impressive.
Yes.
Right? So
and
it's like making a lateral of Batman, essentially.
It's a good point, yeah. But like inverting the suit and giving him the Jordan ones was it was great, and then the incredible movies did not hurt at all.
Absolutely not.
Did not hurt. Did you know? I looked this up today. Do you know how old Miles was when he premiered? Like when he was fighting crime in.
It was. I thought he was 14.
13.
13.
13.
Okay.
I was like, that's pushing it.
Yeah.
But 13, your motor skills haven't even developed yet. I don't care how many spiders have bitten you.
Yeah.
But no, it's terrific. But like guys, that's the background. So like now and now they're building this new universe, this new Ultimate Universe. They're rebuilding a new one with Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Panther, and coming up Ultimate X-Men.
And then Ultimates after that.
And who knows what
I was terrified because the only thing I had seen up to this point in the solicitations was there was 4 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man, and then there was a trade paperback with the first 4 issues solicited.
But
finally this week, number 5 was solicited, so it looks like the trains are rolling. The only thing that's going to make me disappointed about this Ultimate run so far is if it stops.
That's what we said before this. Like this and Wonder Woman, I feel the same way about where it's like if it's 5 more issues or 500 more issues, it's not enough.
I 100% agree.
For both. We say it each week because we said at the end at the beginning of the year, but we said that 2024 was going to be one of the best years for comics ever, and so far it is.
It absolutely is.
Banger after banger. So let's keep this train rolling.
Absolutely. I think that's going to end it for us this week.
Yep.
So
yep. Again, the ushers are coming in with the flashlights. The house lights are coming up. They're moving us towards the door.
So if you want to reach out to us, have any comments or questions, it's podcast@thearcade.com. But until then, we'll see you next week.
All you pony people, stay golden.